I mean, we might as well just talk about the tournament. FaZe have hit the ground running. FaZe are looking really good. They got, what is it, out of the top 3 players? Dude, they have the top 3 performing players in the tournament so far across 4 maps. Brokey, Twists, and Rain. All of them have clutch moments. All of them have sick plays. All of them have opening kills. Twist in particular was a savage on a couple of these maps.
Here's how you know, Semmler, the biases people have in the scene. Because I figured this out years ago. Here's how you know who people are biased in favor of. They just don't mention them when they do badly. So you know what the major, everyone said, you saw it like FaZe failed. Like, wow, Carrigan failed. No, what happened, Semmler, was this. You know, Brokey, the MVP of IM Katowice, the first term they won this year, dude, he was under like a 1.0 rating or something for the major. Like, he had like a really bad major. He just had a bad tournament. He had missed loads of shots, lost loads of clutches. Like, it just wasn't a good tournament. Now, I don't have a problem with that, by the way. In fact, the good thing about FaZe is usually they can survive one player having an off tournament. But so many people are fans of Brokey, and among analysts especially, he almost has like a universally good sort of perception. No one really hates on him. Like, I think people were just a bit biased and just didn't bother mentioning he had a really bad tournament. Like, if someone, like, one of the things that's cool about FaZe, like we've talked about in the past, is everyone except Carrigan basically can be an MVP, because even bloody Rain's been an MVP in the major. Like, the cool thing about their teams, they can do it by committee. So in my opinion, that's why I thought it was wild, dude, that people were just out on FaZe. Like, because people were saying like they should change players. Like, you know, they've only lost about like 3 lands all year or something. Like, and you know, can't win everything. Like, I would never cut a play. Here's the thing, FaZe is that team, like my old motto. You don't ever change a winning lineup until you know what, you can't win anymore. Like, there's another team. It's like, who would be surprised if FaZe just won this tournament, man? Of course they could.
I would, dude, actually. I'm looking just a little bit further down now, and it's like, yeah, no, actually, I wouldn't be surprised at all, because, all right, so you got Brokey at 139, Twist at 138, Rain at 129, but then you just go down, Carrigan 1.2 rating.
That's impossible, obviously, already. I know.
And Rops is at 1.17. So you have nobody who's even close to 1.0. Like, holy, they've just had a terrific, like, you could not have a better start to the tournament.
Yeah.
You could not have a better start to the tournament. So good on them on that front. I mean, they 2-0'd Heroic. They blasted him out of the server on Inferno, second map of that series, 16-5, just annihilate. I caught a good bit of that one. It was just like, okay, this is Heroic are checked out mentally now. This is painful to watch.
Sure, it's convenient, isn't it, Semmler? Because like a week or so ago, Heroic were going to win the major. They were in the final. Guys, there's, you know, the major doesn't actually, is the thing, as a tournament, it's the most important, but people keep doing this, Semmler. They take most important and act like that means the only important thing. Like, the rest of the year was real. We all watched all the rest of the year. Like, we all know FaZe is way better than Heroic. Like, why are we pretending like, I've been through the looking glass now. I thought Heroic was the best. No, of course not. Come on, man. They still have all the same problems they always did.
But this is one of those critical factors, right? Where now they have that champion experience, and they have that champion know-how. And Twist actually said that one line in a post-match interview where, you know, everything's going right, and he's like, yeah, we just had to remember who we are, right? It's like that's what the champions can always fall back on. It's like, no, we win the tournaments. We are the team in the server that needs to be beaten, not the ones that are trying to beat somebody else. And so once you have that you flip that switch and you just know that you're superior, that's what you're dealing with when you're dealing with FaZe. And
I'll give you a great one, Semmler.
Out again here.
Along those lines, look, obviously, like, as usual with my messages to players, sadly, I have a really bad track record where when I send players like nice compliments, if it's before the tournament's over, Semmler, they always bomb and don't make it as far as they should, and like losing the semi. So unfortunately, I have a bad track record. But basically, after that series, if people remember, where I think it was before the series that eliminated them at the major, and after they'd lost, I think what happened was, off the top of my head, I know eventually Liquid lost to like Spirit. And I think before that they lost to like Mouse or something shit like that. They lost like 2 series that were dodgy, right? Or maybe it was Heroic even. And basically, when they've lost the first one, Elijah had like a map where he got like, I think he had like 4 kills or something, if you remember, like 2 kills or some outrageous. So I actually, because Elijah's one of those players like Device, like Simple over the years, who I've sent messages to and sort of befriended a little bit, I sent him a message. It was exactly what you're talking about, Semmler. This is the way I phrased it. I just said something along the lines of like, you look lost out there, mate. Just get out of your own way and let Elish play. That was my point. It's like, mate, like, that would be for real my speech if I was a coach, by the way. If you have a player on the level of like an Elish, it's like, bro, you're not some like young player I'm trying to figure out. You could make it. You're Elish. Like, the fuck? Like, you know, that's team spirit out there. A bunch of nobodies. Like, all you have to do, mate, literally is just like look in the mirror and go, oh yeah, wait a minute. I'm one of the best players of all time. what am I doing wrong? Get my game together and fucking go out. Like, you're right. Like, if you're someone like FaZe, there's no amazing, like, fucking equation has to be cracked. The real question is just why aren't we at the top level that we can be at? And so, yeah, if you just actually, everyone goes back to what they're good at, a team like FaZe is always going to be elite, mate.
Oh yeah, you don't really see the Friday Night Light speech before matches there. You
No.
Katie is still giving that, and he is going to have to keep giving that because they're still looking for that trophy. But FaZe, they don't need to give that. They don't need to give that speech. They know. There's so much experience on that roster, and now like I wonder if this is a return because the Rio Major in and of itself was such a unique experience. I think with the venue, the crowd, how it all played out. I mean, everything about that major is weird, right? It's an outlier. And so here we're back into familiar territory. Everybody knows the Blast Stadium. These guys have been there multiple times throughout the years. Everybody knows how to play they know how to play in the Blast Studios where they're playing right now. And they know how to play in Copenhagen. They know how to play in the Royal Arena as well. So it makes sense that FaZe would just come right back into their own here because this is familiar territory for them. This is their stomping ground. They know what to do here. So and Kerrigan gets to play in front of a home audience, which is going to be interesting as well to see because they clearly cheer for him now. So no Astralis to get in the way here either. It's shaping up to be a
by the way,
event for them to end strong. As
an aside, because you brought up that James interview, which was I don't know if it was actually done by, but it was translated by eScore News, which does a lot of the Russian language stuff that people don't know. There was a line in there I thought I'd bring up where James says, Brazilians are extraordinary, open, positive, and emotional people. My only thought was, I wonder who's committing all the murders.
Who's spitting on the players?
It's mental in it at all.
Oh, yeah. That part. Oh, yeah. No. And man, that is.
The only thing I do have a problem with is this. There was one other point, and I'll bring it up just to be petty because it's my style, which is because people have famously obviously told Jamie he's boring. He tried a fucking reference, which is such a reach, I refuse to acknowledge it, which is even though Jamie acknowledges he himself doesn't know much about MMA, because he's heard that people think that like Khabib is boring, Khabib Nurmagomedov, he's acted like, because people said he was boring. By the way, first of all, I don't know where you've gotten that from. Who said he's boring? Like, he has a wrestling style, but that's not even the wrestler that people say is boring. He's saying it, dude, like if we're talking about like fucking John Fitch or fucking GSP or something or Chael Sonnen, where all they do is just wrestle fucking and hold you down. Like, and even then, by the way, that's slightly exaggerated. But yeah, true, that is a style of fight. The reason that doesn't work at all for you, Jim, is this, because you're one of the biggest baiters and savers of all time. The style that Khabib has is constant pressure. That's the opposite of your style in Counter-Strike. Yes, that's like the Yekindar style of fighting, mate, like 24/7 trying to permit entry. Like, so fuck that noise. You are not Khabib just because you won the fucking major, son. And also, Khabib's like one of the all-time great fight. You won one big tournament, you twat. Calm down, just calm it right down. Come on.
It's a fair point. It's a fair point. I like the analysis. Because
the problem is like the opponent has the opposite feeling against Jim and against fucking Khabib. The whole thing is, do you ever watch the fight where it was Dustin Poirier against Khabib? Right, dude.
That's where that immortal line comes from, where he's like, I would never tap in front of the father, because like he like.
Oh yes.
Was that it? No.
That was the Justin Gaethje one. No, because his dad was dead for the just.
Yeah, that was Poirier, where he had him in a
guillotine, but he just
had him in a guillotine, and like Khabib was like, I would never tap in front of father. And he gets out of the guillotine, and eventually, gets the.
No, here's what I was going to bring up, though. That fight contains the line that actually epitomizes what Khabib's style like and why it's terrifying Semmler. Because there's a line where Dustin Poirier, who himself, by the way, has like a wrestling background, just says to his coaches, I think it's after like the second round or something in the corner, he just goes like, dude, I just can't get him off me. Because that's the style of Khabib. It's like permanent pressure, constantly on you, constantly using the body weight. Jim, you're the opposite, bro. The whole point of that is like, where the fuck is this guy? Like, so I know that he just doesn't know MMA, so that's all cool. But whoever told you Khabib's boring, I don't know who the fuck that was, mate. Like, they're boring. How about that?
Well, that would be somebody who doesn't have the appreciation for what Khabib is doing, right? But maybe I guess this is one of those things where it's just like you don't really appreciate grappling until you actually maybe do it, because then you understand.
Oh, it's almost impossible to. Yeah.
And you kind of have a sense of what it feels like to be in those positions as well. So you give even more respect to the fighters because you're just like, holy shit, that sucks. And you still pulled through. What the fuck?
Oh, dude, I know you must love this as someone who does lots of sparring in jiu-jitsu, but I've actually had those morons in bars when I was in America, like watch parties for UFC, say those immortal lines that you just look at them like, you don't know what you're fucking talking about. I've heard people say for real, Semmler, like, bro, just get up already. It's 4 rounds in. You're like, You mean it's 20 minutes into a fight against the best fighter in the world, and you're wondering why he can't physically get up while that guy's on top of his body? Like, what are you? This isn't a movie, you know. Like, he's been fighting for 20 minutes. He's exhausted. Like, he's completely gassed. Like, it's so bad. Some of the thoughts they have in it at all.
No, but it's so fun because now you can really see it as well, and but you also experience it because obviously the nice thing about like a well-structured class is that you build up to it over time. So you start the class and maybe the warm-up tires you out a little bit. You're like, oh man, okay, this is rough doing sit-ups and stuff. Like, okay, but then, that gets easier over time. And then you're going through the drills. Maybe those tire you out a little bit, but like, okay, a little bit more time. Those are all right. But then you're doing like the specifics at the end of class where you're really trying to drill a little bit more intensely, and those wipe you out. And so by that, but again, a little bit of time, you start building up that gas tank, and you start thinking, oh man, I'm pretty hot shit. And then you start rolling. And a 5-minute round, your first 5-minute round, you want to puke. Yeah. It's just utter brutality. Like you are just completely gassed. I can't even imagine going, like, if you're grappling for like 20 minutes or something, forget it. Those guys are freaks. They're absolute machines.
But every time you try and get up, the guy's on your back, using his whole body weight on you. You're just lifting 2 people up. And then this guy in a bar, like, just get up. Freakish just bloody stand up already, you coward. Like, it's so mad in it. I know.
It's such a funny thing.
That was actually the worst thing about UFC getting huge, by the way, was the amount of people. Like, I thought they were just memes, but they're real. I've heard people say those lines similar. Like, thing about me is I just wouldn't go out. I just let him break my arm. Like, shut up, you idiot. You wouldn't. Like, the joke is, if I just did a fucking Chinese burn on this guy, he'd be like, oh, bloody hell. Like, and he's talking like, just snap my whole fucking arm, snap my shit off. Like, give me a break.
Those are the kinds of guys you just want to catch in a wrist lock real quick just to see what
I know. Oh no, all I would like to do for real, Semmler, is this. If they would let me do this, I could shut all of them up instantly. All I'm going to say is this: I'm going to show you guys a move from UFC so you can see how it works. Right? Watch. You lie on the ground like this. I'll lie the other way. I'm going to do what's called a leg lock on you. Right? I'm going to go really slowly. Okay. So look, I've got it on. Now all I'm going to do is cinch it up. And if you don't know, by the way, guys, when you even just get it in the right, it already starts to hurt. Before the person puts any pressure on, you can already feel like, whoa, what's going on with my muscle on my leg right there? That's why, if you don't know, like, people like the really bad ones who were like quite malicious doing that, you could just rip the guy's whole muscle off his fucking bone, mate. Those moves are outrageous, the leverage you can put. Like, the problem is like you're saying though, Semmler, you actually can't, as an outsider, know what's going on. Like, it doesn't look like that. It looks like nothing. It looks like you should do that with the top of your leg or something silly, doesn't it? Yeah.
There's this really popular clip going around for a second there, a few weeks back, where it was a guy who was doing an ankle lock, a straight ankle lock. So it's like you catch the guy's ankle in the crook of your arm, and then you're using your forearm to leverage against it, right? To lever against the guy's leg, and it's his shin, and it's really,
does he break his shin?
Like Duncan's describing, it can be really painful really quickly if you catch the muscle, the Achilles, all that. But this guy, he put 3 baseball bat handles between.
I saw this.
He snaps you saw this? Yes. And he fucking snaps him. And you're like, holy shit.
Oh, that guy must have a god tier fucking squeeze, mate. It's mental.
There's no way. Can you imagine that? You try to picture it right. So put my leg in.
Don't be your leg in there. And he's
no.
Dude, he cracks it like it's like a fucking lobster in it. Like one of those American restaurants.
So crazy.
Delicious.
It's so crazy, dude. It's terrifying.
It is. It's terrifying.
Just like you could run into that guy at a tournament someday and just get your leg ripped off.
Exactly.
Like, oh, no, forget it. Not happening. So funny.
See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.